third time is the charm.
That's what they say.
That's what they say. That's what they say. All right. So today I have the pleasure of talking to the beautiful Mia Me from the podcast known as the Hot Take Season. It's a sports podcast, and this is Mia Me and Sane. How you doing today, Mia?
I'm good. I'm good. Hanging in here in this quarantine life. How are you?
Quarantine life?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm calling it.
I mean, honestly, we can drop the quarantine and just kind of just realize this is his new life.
This
If you're
is the
going
new
somewhere,
norm.
it's the new norm. It's the new
Ugh,
norm.
I don't know if I'm ready for that.
I mean, you gotta go out there with your mask. You might breathe some air that ain't right for you. Y- Honestly, I think we need to get these masks that have like the ventilators on them, or maybe we should go out with our own oxygen tanks and just that's what we should do now.
A gas mask or something. I don't know. I remember
Well,
yesterday I was following behind this truck and he was blowing like all the black pollution you could think of was coming out of his pipes. It was the worst thing ever.
so with that, that started making me think because I was always for me, I like to drive with my windows down. I love the rush of the wind when you're going at high speeds or just riding around and the wind getting in your hair. I love that.
Hmm.
So they're talking about how COVID is airborne now. And I wonder if me driving around with my windows down puts me at a higher risk. Because what if somebody in front of me has COVID and they got their window down and they are just like, all out their window and it just
It's
flies in my face. And then I'm just like, and then I got COVID.
it's a lot to think about. You never know. I don't know.
But what do you think about it?
Uh, yeah, I think you should probably play it safe. Play it as safe as possible.
I don't know, man. It's a gamble. It's a gamble. Wherever you're going nowadays, honestly, I feel like it's just a gamble, and we're all playing it. You make your decisions on what you want to do,
Yeah.
especially with the was that someone was telling me about an open mic in the Cliff. Actually, a good friend of mine, Natra, she's been attending this open mic in Oak Cliff, and I'm really excited about it. I want to go. She tells me about how there's only like 15 people there, and I'm just like, man, that sounds cool. I'm really wanting to go spit some new bars for
Hmm.
people, and but I'm still going, like, man, no, man, I don't want to do that. I don't want to catch COVID. Let's do this open mic shit over the internet. We can open up some VR, not VR. Get on Instagram Live. You be a host, and you just have
Yeah.
people jump in that way, and that's how we'll do open mic.
Yeah. There may be something for somebody to start up. Cause there's been a few things going on that I wanted to attend, but I'm not risking it.
Is there anything you would risk it for?
No, no, not
Not
at the
even
moment.
sports.
No, they were like talking about like 25% of fans being able to come, and I'm like, nope, I'm good on that. I will watch you from the comfort of my home, and we'll talk about it online like I usually do, you know? Yeah, I'm not
The
risking it for
sports season.
nobody.
What's next? Right now, the football season is supposed to start. You know this information more than I do.
I don't know what they're gonna do. They're supposed to be starting training camp, I think next week or within the next 2 weeks or something like that. But
Hmm.
now you have players who are like, I need you to tell me exactly how this is gonna be safe because I have a family to go
Mm.
home to, and you can't blame them for that. As much as I want sports back, I don't want anybody dying from COVID due to football. So I know basketball is playing in a bubble pretty much. And then with that, you still have players leaving to go deal with family emergencies and other injuries, and then they're trying to come back, and you still put people at risk that way. So
Mm.
I don't know.
I
I
don't know
think
what
they
kind
should
of
just postpone
protocols.
stuff.
I don't know what kind of protocols they would keep up with that. I know I was talking to a guy on the cast named Josh. He
Mm-hmm.
was telling me because he's a coach, and he was telling me about the protocols he was setting up for his team, and it was drastic, as in each player had to have their own ball, each player had to have their own gear, and I'm pretty sure if that's happening on a school-based thing, then I'm sure that's happening in the big leagues too. If they're training someone, they're gonna only have one ball to each person, their own gear. It's gonna get sanitized after everything, and I don't know. I'm interested about it because the playing it safe thing, the best way to actually play it safe would be to shut everything down. But then
Right.
you have that other thought process of we go nowhere at that point. What do we do? Do we just take off a whole year and then we take a whole year off after that to get all the players back into shape again? Do you still pay these players while they're off or what?
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. I was watching something on ESPN the other day, and they were talking about how Dwayne Wade at halftime of every game he played, he would go and change his jersey.
Mm.
And so they were like, well, you could, have everybody to change their uniforms every time that they come out the game. And it's like, if you have to do that, it's really not worth it. Like that's unnecessary to me in the fact that you could really just shut everything down. And I know that there's a lot of money involved, because you do have to still pay players, and you have contract situations to worry about. Even from the college level, you got players trying to get into the league, and so with shutting stuff down, now you have everybody taking a season off. Are they going to come back the same athlete that they were? Are they going to be worse or what? You know, so there's
Do
a
you think
lot
they
that
should
goes into
introduce
it.
some kind of, I mean, I know we put these people on contracts,
Mhm.
but and CODE's a new special deal. What if you introduce some kind of form of agreement? It's like, hey, you guys know about this, so let's postpone your contract until things are set back up. How do you feel about that? What if they took their funding right then and there, right now, while they were in this situation? Because that's pretty much what some people are doing. They're postponing things and saying, hey, we'll come back. We'll come back to it.
Um, I don't know. You could probably put some clauses in there in a contract for situations like this. But then you look at players getting insurance policies for situations like this. Because at the end of the day, they still have families to feed. They have to feed themselves. So
Yeah.
that it wouldn't blow over well, but you got to come up with something to keep everybody safe while still keeping everybody paid, if that makes sense.
Have you played around with the idea to think what would you do if you had to keep it open? What would you do to ensure the safety
Nah,
of the players?
I would shut everything down for right now until there's a little more normalcy, until things die down to where everybody is comfortable with coming back, because you have a lot of players who are like, nah, I'm not risking it. And you can't blame them. Demarcus Lawrence, who plays for the Cowboys, his wife is due to have a baby in October, and so
Mm.
he's worried on whether or not he should go to training camp or not, because he doesn't want to bring anything back to his family. And you can't argue that.
You can't,
So
and
yeah,
you'll look like an a-hole if you tell
right.
these people you got to come in here. And they, what you need is the people that you work for to actually look like they care about you at
Mhm.
the same time.
Yep. So I mean, I think I would, if I were in that position, I would postpone things until something was a little bit more normal. Because I know me, if I had to go work in this situation right now, no. Like I love my job and I love basketball, but I'm not risking it. Because at the end of the day, if I'm gone, they're gonna find somebody else to do my job. So
Yeah, this is this is true. And I don't know if you could have a good argument. Well, actually, I don't know. This is a weird situation. We're dealing with a lot of first time things right now. I'm pretty sure after this, there could be a case where you could take people to court on this kind of stuff. You might
yeah,
be out of luck during this period, but when it's all said and done, you might be able to pull a hefty lawsuit for somebody.
yeah, and it's like now they're trying to get people to like sign waivers and stuff. like agreeing to participate given the circumstances. And I feel like if you have to do all of that stuff, then you probably don't need to be having a season.
Yeah, because some of these waivers are complete BS. I was getting a haircut, and I went in, and the way that the system went was you walk in, you sign a little waiver saying, "Hey, I'm not sick." They check your temperature, they take down your phone number, and I think some was your address or something like that. They basically get all your contact information just so they can say, "Hey, somebody was sick here. You should probably go get tested." And
Hmm.
it's not ensuring that you're not going to get sick. All it's doing is basically we're going to be able to contact you if
Yeah,
things do go down.
it's covering them, but it's like, well, who's covering me?
Not a damn soul.
So it's like if they're not gonna look out for me, I have to look out for me. So I would just, in the spirit of me caring about my players, if I was an owner or if I was NFL commissioner or something like that, in the spirit of
Hmm.
me caring about, people that are working in this business, I would just close everything down. They're gonna get paid regardless. You're not hurting for money.
So I was on a far fetched tangent because I was playing around with the idea. How would you feel? Okay, so hypothetically, say for instance you had a system set up where the players could play the same game, but
Mm,
from home. They hooked up with like a VR system or something, something where their whole body allowed them to project their image on a field or a basketball court, but they could play from their own court at home or something.
that would be
Would
a really dope experience.
it would, but with that, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like sports would just be jeopardized at that point, and it wouldn't be the same thing anymore? So, yeah, yeah. Well, how did you feel about that?
A part of me is like it probably wouldn't be the same just because we know it's virtual reality at that point. So
Hmm.
it would be like when we were basically watching NBA players play 2K against each other on TV. Like
Mm.
it gets interesting, but it's only interesting for so long
Before you want that
versus
normalcy
actual
back.
physical. Yeah, you want physical contact.
Yeah, that there is a certain energy about actually being there that you just can't recreate. Well, and I say that because who knows? Because I know there's Elon Musk with the Neuralink thing, and I don't know. You probably can get it wired in there where you can actually feel that same experience. But to just tone down the whole far fetchedness of what that whole brain tangent or whatever, um, yeah, I do get you. The genuineness of it, the
Hmm.
I was almost gonna say like the fact that there's sweat being thrown around on the court. You don't get that from just playing the game. Of course, there's the gamer sweat, but that's not gonna no, it's nothing like the actual competitiveness of
Right.
actually being there.
Yeah, that it would be cool to see it though, but I don't think the thrill of it will last long.
It would be an interesting thing. That was rambling. Blah blah blah. Point being, um, what brought you into sports? When can you remember your most early memory that got you hyped about sports the way that
Ooh,
you are?
okay. Random memory. I can remember the Cowboys playing the Packers back when I was really, really young. And I remember I was watching it with my parents. I can tell you where we stayed at and everything. And so I think seeing my dad get hyped about that situation um was pretty cool for me. But so I have like random sports memories growing up from way back then when I was little. But I think I really got drawn into it when I was about 9 years old. I really got into basketball. I loved Allen Iverson. I love Michael Jordan, but I love AI more at that point. Because I think at
I
that
was an
point,
AI fan.
yeah, MJ was on the back end of his career. Like he was still MJ, but AI was that new thing for me. Um, and so yeah. I got into basketball really strong, and my dad was coaching girls basketball, and so I would be at the games. I had cousins who were playing basketball, so I would be at their games and stuff. It was just different experiences throughout life that drew me into it. And then when I got into high school, I got on the newspaper staff, and so it was like, well, let me, write about sports and stuff. I go to all the games anyway. Um, so yeah, I did that, and I just fell in love with it over time.
That's what's up. That's what you were introduced to it, and the energy got
Yeah.
into your veins, and that's what you do. Now you do a whole podcast on it. That's cool. That is cool.
Yeah, it started with me writing about it. And honestly, before that, I thought I was gonna be like a lawyer or a forensic scientist or something. Like that's where my head was going with it. I never thought I would end up working in sports. Until like maybe my junior or senior year of high school. That's where I was like, okay, maybe I want to be a journalist. I watch sports enough. I know this stuff. And I really like writing about it. Then when I got to college, it was like, well, hey, look at the tech side of it. Maybe you can produce stuff.
Mm.
Um, putting stuff together for people to see stuff online or on TV. Maybe you can produce your own sports show and stuff like that. And so I just like the behind the scenes work of it because
Hmm.
it allows me to still be able to watch and have some excitement from it and see what's still going on, but I also get to display it for everybody else to see. So it's
Now,
like
are you
storytelling.
allowed to talk about that job in particular?
I am.
Okay. Well, why don't you explain it? Because I know about it, but I know about it as far as my arm can touch. So what do you do?
So I basically keep stats, NBA, WNBA, college football, college basketball. Um, so yeah, that started for me when I was a freshman in high school. Um, I did it for the girls basketball team, and when I got to college, I helped out with the boys basketball team in college, or I said men's team. Um, and when I graduated college, again, I thought I was gonna go straight into the production world with a news station or something.
Mm.
And that's just kind of fell in my lap. So it was like that's that, that's where I'm at with it right now. I'm still looking to get back over into the production side of it and everything. But for right now, I am with the stats crew.
So
So
what does a night look like with stats? How do you track the stats? Do you get a particular player and then you just stay on that player and you just watch what they do? Or tell me what a game night looks like.
a game night can get very hectic because you have to get there to set up everything, but everything is off of a touchscreen computer. So
Mm.
I'm keeping up with exactly everything that happens on the court when it happens. What player did what, like, well, really, what player had the ball, if there's a turnover, what shot he made, the type of shot he made, where he made it at, if there is a stoppage in the game, if somebody's bleeding on the court, I have to put that in. If
Mm.
there's yeah, if a coach gets thrown out, I got to put that in and why he got thrown out. At the end of the game, if somebody had a triple double or they had a career high in points or something like that, I have to look up what their stats were before that night and then go in and put in what the new career highs were. So it's
Jeez,
a
that is
lot
a
to keep
lot
up with.
of.
It's fast paced. um, the women's are a little slower than the men. They can get fast paced too, but the men, whew, it gets really fast paced. And there's a crew of us to kind of help each other out. But and in some with some teams we have like a replay monitor we can go back and look at and see if we missed anything. But I mean, even that can get hectic if you miss too much. So
So what's the goal of tracking someone's stats? Are these stats then given to those players at the end and say, hey, you did crap this game. I need you to go back and do it better this next game. Like, yeah, what's the goal of the stats? It's just for the team to know what they're actually doing.
Yeah, it's for the team. It's also for the league. So at every timeout, and every timeout, every period break, and every halftime or whatever, we print out the stats and give it to the coaches, and they can pretty much see what each player is doing. If because some players are on like minute restrictions,
Mm.
so they can
What
only
does that
play
mean?
within. So maybe a player tore his ACL, right? So he's
Hmm.
coming back from an ACL injury. Well, you don't want to just throw him in the game and have him playing the full game. You want
Mm.
to kind of ease him back into play until he's 100% ready to play a full game. So they may say, well, this player can only play 25 minutes. So a coach has to strategize 25 minutes of what, quarter or where he wants to plug this player in at to play. So when he gets the stats, he can look at exactly how many minutes this player was in the game
That's
and what
interesting. I
his
didn't know that all
production.
that went into it.
Oh yeah, and what his production was, the minutes that he did play. Is he progressing or is he declining? Things like that.
Now, do these same stats, I would take they would affect a person's probably their pay grade as they progress. It'll probably decide, okay, well, we can see how you're getting better, or we can decide if you're getting worse from this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think it definitely goes into play. And I mean, some players you don't even need to look at the stats. You can just tell, like, you can tell what they bring to the table. but but I mean, for others, some players they want to know what they've contributed. They want to know if they're getting better or not, or what they need to work on. You'll have some players sit down and really break down, like, well, I shoot better from this corner, so I need to work on shooting better over here. Stuff like that.
I think that's really cool. I don't know. I'm kind of really excited about that. I'm curious to see what those stats, how far they affect just everything. Because I know when they have a video game, they have to pull these stats from somewhere. Now I
Hmm.
wonder if they pull that from you guys, they take an average from the year to incorporate that in the video games.
Yeah, because we pretty much the coaches will get them every time they're scheduled to get them, and then at the end of the game, we have to print out everything for each organization to get. The referees even get a copy of it, so that they can go back through and see. They get film too, I think, so that they can go back and see what calls they may have missed or if they made a bad call, and they can go back and exactly see where it was at and how they may have affected a player. Um, so then we have to then submit it to the league. And so I'm guessing they send it to EA Sports or whoever makes the games or whatever, to go off of that stuff too.
Now, personally, from what I've seen,
Hmm.
referees need stats on them.
Yeah.
Um, are they? Or are they just get them just do what they need to do?
No, I know they go through extensive training. Um, what all that entails, I can't tell you.
Oh
But
yeah,
I have encountered I have encountered refs kind of come up and they'll go like, they want to know exactly what happened during the game. And in essence, we're kind of like an extension of the refs. It's like we work together for the betterment of the game because they'll go back and say, "Hey, we need to check what happened at this minute mark. We need to see if that
mm,
was a 2 or 3 pointer." And so we'll have to go back and see what we marked it as, what the television camera show, and then what they called. So it
I
all
think
kind of
that's really
works together.
cool. That's at that point they probably say you're working for the league for the betterment. Oh, yeah, when you said for the betterment of the show, I thought you were gonna say we're doing this for the betterment of the league. It felt like some indoctrination, but But no, that's really dope. Oh man, it's I never really think of it that way because I wonder who all does think of it that way. Outside of playing a video game for it, or outside of
Mhm.
actually being there to enjoy the competition, you're probably not thinking about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of people don't think about it or like what all goes into it until they meet somebody like me and they're like, "Oh my gosh, that's cool." And to me, it's nothing. Um, but but then yeah, they don't really think about it until they're kind of faced with it. So,
Now, have you from just this experience, have you thought about, I don't know, stepping up to another level and maybe either if not doing this for, I don't know, a high school or a college that you went to, or yeah, have you ever thought about taking this back to your community and either doing it for them or yeah, have you ever thought have you thought about implementing this experience to the rest of your life?
well, I did have a chance to do it for the school district here at their like main big stadium. I did it for football, not basketball though.
Mm,
Which it was pretty cool because it kind of gives the students something else to look at. You know, that they can look up at halftime and see what their halftime stats are. So it felt good in that sense. It kind of gives them something else to look forward to, I would say. Um, and with that, I was like the first to bring that to this district, because nobody else was doing it. So
mm.
yeah, it was different, but it was pretty cool to do. They're no longer doing it right now. I don't know if they're gonna bring it back or not, but either way, I'm interested in helping out.
That's that's cool. That's now how does it differ between do do you do the same thing for football? If wherever they do a certain thing on the field, you got to document that kind of stuff too?
Yeah, but in football is a lot harder because you have the yardage and stuff to mark. So you might have to mark where the line of scrimmage was, where the play ended at, how many people were on the tackle. And if you have like three or four people on a tackle, you're trying to hurry up and catch those numbers before they run away from the play. Um, so yeah, football was a little more intense, and I don't know if it was because I had got used to basketball first
Hmm.
or not. But yeah, football was pretty cool though.
Which do you like more, football or basketball?
Basketball. Basketball was my first love.
Now, why? Just because it's your first love, I need more than that. I need more than that.
um, I don't know. I think the thrill of it, like even though it gets fast paced, it's almost like an adrenaline rush for me. So yeah, it gets fast paced, and I enjoy watching basketball. I enjoy watching football really too, but it's different. It's the same, but it's different when it comes to the stats, just because of the dynamic of the stats that you have to take. But
Yeah, because
I think I've been doing
football.
basketball. Go ahead.
I was gonna say football is more of it's like a war where I don't know. Basketball feels like in this is a bad analogy. It feels like when those rich people get on horses and they play. In comparison, when you're comparing it to football, football would be war, and basketball is when the rich people get on the horses and play polo. Yeah, there we go. There we go. That's exactly what it is.
I think from a stats point though, football is a little more slower because you have time to. They have to have time to set the play up, and then they have the clock winding down from when they actually throw the ball or get the play off. Um, in basketball, it's a lot more fast paced because everything is just running. Especially if there's no timeout or no stoppage in the game, everything is just is flowing.
I'll
And
give you that.
yeah. And so with that, it's more fast paced, but it's a little more stressful. But at the same time, for me, it provides that adrenaline rush that I can use.
I'm thinking about it. I'm going back through my memories, and there's that back and forth. Ah, yeah, I get it. Let me find out. You're about to make me become a new sports fan. I'm about to actually start watching sports again. Actually, I should do that. I was having a conversation with a gentleman in a bar one time, and we were talking about how he wasn't a sports fan, but
Mhm.
one year he just decided to sit down and keep up with a team. He wanted to know that team's story of that year. He just paid
Mm-hmm.
attention to that team. He knew when they played. He knew the things they did, all the conferences. He kept up with their scrimmages, like their all the stuff that they all everything that they did that year. He made himself a part of it because so he
Mm-hmm.
could understand sports and why people are crazy about sports.
Yeah, that's how I started out with the Cowboys, just focusing on them. And now that I have a podcast, and really the older that I get, I'm more interested in trying to focus on other teams. So I'm stretching myself in that sense because like with this whole situation going on with the Redskins, like I'm not familiar with a lot of their inside personnel or even their beat writers. So
Mm.
that gives me something to look up so that I can become more aware of the situation and I have sources that I can look to or trust, for
Well, let me
certain
backtrack you
information.
real quick. What's
Hmm.
a beat writer?
A beat writer is basically somebody who focuses on one particular team
Okay, okay.
or one particular subject.
With the Redskins situation,
Hmm.
what is I guess what's their name? The have they decided on the name that they want to go to yet? I know everyone's going crazy with the whole we got to switch our names right now to support the show that we're not against. What I'm fumbling for the word here. The for racial tensions. For racial tensions, we're trying to switch the name so we can not have a derogative stance on things.
Hmm.
So
So what I read was that they submitted a list of like 100 plus names that they have options to choose from. So they're waiting to get those names approved before they pick one. Now,
mm,
with talking to other Redskins fans, excuse me, um, I know the Red Wolves came up as maybe a team name, and it was the Red Wolves and something else, which Red Wolves doesn't sound bad to me, because it still keeps that R. So if they wanted, like, they usually say like "Hell to the Redskins" or hashtag HTTR. So if they did the Red Wolves, they could still, roll with that as part of their slogan or something.
Red
But
Wolf sounds really high schoolish though.
I can see that, but I don't know what else I would roll with at this juncture because I feel like they've had the name so long. It's like, what do you change it to?
Who's the rival team?
Their rivals are the Cowboys, the Eagles, and the Giants.
Okay, so
And
what they
so,
need is a name that strikes fear in their rivals. Red Wolves isn't
nobody
going to
is
get the
scared of the Redskins.
well, you're not going to be scared of the Red Wolves. They need something else. I don't know. I don't know what you would call them. Ruby
Oh,
Tuesdays. No.
they can. They somebody came up with the Warriors too. So
Mm.
I mean, it could work, but
I mean, shoot,
as a
you could.
Cowboys fan, I don't care. Just as long as they're losing to us, I don't really care.
She already claimed her set.
Yeah.
On when it comes to football knowledge, would you say you're first to the point where I could just throw a question at you? Like, for instance, how many teams are there?
There are 32 NFL teams.
Oh, dang. I did not know that. I was like, I was teeter-tottering around. Do we have 50 of them? Why
No,
32 opposed to 50?
I don't know. That's a very good question. I don't know why. I don't think football is really popular in every state, for one. And then a lot of states probably can't afford it because if you look at it,
Mm.
you had like the St. Louis Rams were there for so long, and now they moved to LA, which is where they started. So and it was just better marketing for them.
Now,
So
if
yeah,
you
I
had
don't
enough
know.
money, if you had enough money, could you start your own football team?
I think I would. I think I would. But then the thing is, do I have it here in Dallas or do I move it somewhere else? Because now you got you would have two teams here in the DFW Metroplex, and one has been here way longer.
Well,
So
some people
that's
would argue
where,
that the Cowboys aren't even in Dallas anymore now that they've been moved to Arlington.
yeah, but I mean, they're still the Dallas Cowboys. Like they're still in North Texas, so like you could
Oh, is
argue
that's what
that.
matters? They just need to be
Yeah,
in North Texas.
yeah, I pretty much like you could probably move them to Denton, and people would still say the Dallas.
No, man.
I think the only way it would change is if they moved to like a major city like Austin or something, San Antonio maybe or something like that.
Mm. Well, with that being said, you would probably try to think what would you move if you were to create a basketball, not a basketball team, a new football team, then you would have to look at the players you would have to get. Like, what does a first year for a football team even look like? That's
It's
crazy
pretty
to me.
cool as an expansion team because you know you have they give you some stuff to work with as far as players and stuff go, especially like draft picks and stuff. So it would be okay. I know, and this is kind of different, but with like the Las Vegas Aces, which is the WNBA team in Vegas, they
Mm.
were in San Antonio, but when they moved to Vegas, expansion team, they had so much, you know, player wise and stuff coming in and draft picks and stuff. It just kind of benefited them, like they were one of the top teams. So,
That sounds cool. I know Jay Z. Okay, I say I know. I don't really know. My memory tells me that Jay Z was interested in having his own team. If I'm not mistaken, he used to be a partner with the Brooklyn Nets. I don't know if he's still doing that anymore. But wait, actually, yeah.
uh,
Are you versed in that? Do you know anything about that?
I think he is still a part owner of the Nets. I
Now,
believe he
what
is.
happened there? I don't remember that story. I remember at first, if you didn't look into it, you thought that Jay Z owned it, where the real story was he was a partner in it. And the
Mhm.
Brooklyn Nets was a new thing. It was the Nets, and they were in Brooklyn because they had moved from somewhere else. I remember they went from blue and
Uh,
orange to black and silver or something now.
yeah, they moved from New Jersey.
Mm, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Do you know the story on that?
Um, I can't remember why they moved. Um, why did they move? I can't remember exactly why they moved from Jersey to Brooklyn because that's been some years ago.
I know there's a lot of stories about teams moving. I wish I had them right off my head. I know
Mm,
there was one where what is that? It's because I keep thinking the Indiana Pacers, like they had to move from some other team somewhere else. Because I remember for me as a kid, I had this this it's crazy because I don't do sports like this, but I had this it was either a bed sheet or a covering with all the jerseys on it, and
mm,
it had the old jerseys on it, and I'm going back to those memories, and I'm remembering how like things changed, like the Dallas Mavericks, their jerseys it changed from this blue and green, like they started bringing that back now, and they switched
mm.
to the what was that? What was that? They switched to just the blue and a white, I believe, and then there was like the Timberwolves that were I don't know if those still exist. Like crap, it's crazy. I'm trying
Yeah.
to talk about sports and I don't know shit about sports.
Yeah, the Timberwolves are still around. What else did you just say? Oh, as far as the Mavericks, yeah, the Mavericks are a small market team, and so I like the retro jerseys a lot compared to what they have now. If it were up to me, they would be going back to that full time. But so yeah, they're in the sense of playing around with stuff to see what works. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
It's funny talking about sports with you because it reminds me. how much of a bumbling fool I am when it comes to this.
Hey, we all have our own things. Um,
Our strengths and weaknesses, right?
yeah, and things we like more than others. It's fine. But yeah, I've always been like this. Uh, Talking sports. I can, yeah,
Well, of course,
especially like
we've seen
junior
your
high
Twitter.
coming
We've seen your
up.
Twitter. You just back and forth with everybody on it.
About sports, I know, right? Um, hey, it gets funny sometimes, but I enjoy it.
I still think that you need to, as soon as there's games back on, you need to just sit there and film yourself just going in on a game. Just going in on a game. Like you need like you should do that. You should just get on live and be the commentator. I think you should do that with
I
some of
would
those
have,
old games.
I would have to do that with like a non-Dallas Cowboy game. And because when I'm watching Cowboys, I'm just in a zone. Like I don't even think I yell anymore. I think the last time I even threw something dealing with the Cowboys was the Dez Bryant catch no catch thing, and it was like ever since then, I just be like, you know what, whatever. So I'm pretty much watching the game to kind of analyze what's going on. So yeah, I've gotten pretty chill over the years with watching
You gotten
games
pretty
now.
chill.
Yeah, it'll take somebody to say something to trigger me to where I'm like, okay, listen. Like we're not gonna talk crazy right now. But yeah, I've gotten to the point where I have to watch the game, a Cowboys game. I have to watch it by myself unless I'm at the game. Other than that, I don't want to go out and watch it with nobody. I don't want nobody in my house watching it with me. It's just me and my Cowboys. um,
That's
Anybody else
crazy.
though,
That's a
I'm social watching any other game with anybody else. I'm fine, but when it comes to them, can't do it. No phone. People think I'm crazy. I'll be like, if you text me or call me during the Cowboys game, I'm not answering. I'll hit you back after the game, not at halftime. After the game.
that just shows your love for that. That's awesome. At the same time, yeah, that's awesome. That's a different type of passion. I mean, I can't think of is there anything like that? Like, I mean, I'm that kind of way with certain movies. If there's a movie I really want to watch, I want everyone gone. I want the lights off. I want
Hmm.
the stereo at the right amount. I don't want any spoilers. I don't want to even if there's a trailer out and I know the movie's gonna be good, I don't want to see the trailers for it. So I understand it. I I can't be that way about sports. It's just not in me. I
I feel you. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't care. The Cowboys could go to the Super Bowl, and I'm gonna watch that by myself. I'm not going to no Super Bowl party. Any other time,
ooh.
anybody else playing, I'm there. It's cool. We can have people over. It's fine. But if it's the Cowboys, leave me alone.
So, what are your thoughts on us not going to the Super Bowl, or what we famously do almost every year? We get everyone excited. We do what we do during the middle. We might get 5 out of 6. We get to the playoffs. We get to the playoffs, and then we're out the first freaking game.
So I'll say this because I've been on this emotional roller coaster so long to where I'm kind of nonchalant. I'm like, if they do, they do. If they don't, oh well, I know I'm still gonna be a fan no matter how mad I get. Um, so I'm not ever that fan to be like, hey, we going to the Super Bowl this year. That's never me. If it happens, it happens. But I feel like right now, offensively, we have a whole lot of weapons to where we shouldn't be struggling to score. The defense still needs some work, but the defense has gotten better. I think we've added some good players on defense. So I don't know. I feel like Dak has no excuses right now. Because he got all the weapons any quarterback could ever ask for.
Mm.
So I don't know if they should make the playoffs, but if they don't, I don't know what to say. You have a whole new coaching staff, which I mean that can be an adjustment in itself. to get used to, but I still feel like they should make the playoffs. Now, how far will they go?
If
I can't say. if if what? If healthy?
if 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 because I remember when Dak was introduced,
Hmm.
and there was for me there was kind of a question of whether that's what we needed to do at that point. Because I'm going back in the memory of what happened. It was in the middle of the season. I think Tony got hurt,
Hmm.
and then they replaced him with Dak, and then basically just they said, yeah, Dak's our guy. Dak is the new guy now.
So
And
what
I don't.
happened was Romo got hurt in a preseason game.
Mm,
And that's was really frustrating. He got hurt in the preseason game, and so they had no other choice but to go with Dak. And Dak just panned out to be that guy. So by the time the playoffs rolled around, Tony was healthy again. So they were stuck with, well, do you put Romo back out there and risk him getting hurt again? You can trust him to play, but do you put him back out there or do you stay with this young talent who's basically got you to the playoffs? That was the big question. And
big
they
question.
chose that, yeah. They chose Dak, and to me, he lived up to the hype. Like you
Did I
can
tell
go
you?
and look at his stats, and he's improved every year. So
Yeah. I actually that's one thing I have noticed. Despite the yes, we did not win this year, but despite all that, it looked it looked like he's been getting better. I know when I was paying attention, there was that year where what is his name? The other guy. When you think Dak, and you think the other guy. He's either a
Zeke,
running back or a wide receiver. Who is he?
Zeke, the running back.
Zeke.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I remember it. It was one year that Zeke got in trouble, and
Hmm.
it was right after the year that basically Dak was coming out and he was doing real good. And that year that Zeke got in trouble, for me personally, it felt like the only reason or the reason that they were doing bad is because the team had kind of lost like it was just morale. Their morale got a big hit because Zeke wasn't there for most of the games.
Yeah, it's like they try to make the difference between them two. Like, can they survive without Zeke, or can they survive without Dak? And for me, you need them both. Like, it just works better with them both. And so every year, it's always seems like it's been something. It was Zeke with his court case situation. What else happened? Something else happened. I can't think right now. Something else happened, but it was just like it was always something. Um, but you still have to kind of play through those situations, those off the field situations. They've both been healthy the entire time, even with like Zeke was holding out for his contract, and so he missed all of training camp. But when he came to play in the game, you have people who are like, "Oh, he's falling off," or he's not the same that he was. Zeke
Mm.
shed weight and everything. He still produced great stats, but you also have to realize they didn't have to rely on Zeke as much this past season because Dak was able to throw the ball more because he had better wide receivers.
Mm.
So of course Zeke's numbers are going to be different when you're not giving him the ball every play.
Do you think that also has anything to do with trying to bring the light off of him?
Off of Zeke.
Yeah, like with all the controversial stuff going on in the background, maybe they kind of want him to fly under the radar a little bit more. Maybe someone higher up will say, "Hey, let's keep him under the radar and bring him back." Condition the crowd and then let him get his shine as he's in it. Well, yeah, as he's back, reintroduced to everything. Keep him under the radar, and then we'll let him get his shine maybe the next or following year.
I think it may have been a situation where okay, he did miss camp, so let's kind of let him get in his groove. But at the same time, it was we're gonna do what's gonna win us the game.
Mm,
And if the passing game isn't broke, why fix it? if the like Zeke can still run the ball, first down, second down, third down. He can still run the ball, and he's going to get you the first down. We know that. But it was also, just game planning and doing what was going to work at the time. I believe in having a well balanced team, especially
Mm.
offensively. Like if you can, because then the defense they have to question, well, what are we guarding right now? Are we guarding the passing game or are we guarding the ground? We don't know what they're going to do because they have a threat through the air and on the ground. So I think having it well balanced is a plus.
You know what? What you just saying that just re just reassured or reestablished my whole statement of football is war and and
Yeah.
basketball is fast paced polo. And and I mean that's probably why we gather around and watch this shit because it's war. It's war. We're
Mhm.
humans are what I've been learning is they're enthralled over war and sex and of course money. And we all get together to watch these people slaughter each other without actually having to slaughter each other.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Why do you think that is? Why do you
I
think
don't
we're
know.
like
I
that?
I don't know. That's just a human thing. I know for me, it took me a while to get into like MMA because I'm like, I can't sit here and watch somebody beat somebody to a pulp like this. Um, but as time went on, I was like, oh, this is actually kind of good. And you kind of feel
Yeah.
weird with that thought process, like, are you really sitting here cheering for
I
somebody to get beat up?
I can't remember the fight. I was in Austin. I was at a bar, and I looked to my left. These two chicks are just duking it out. They're knocking each other all over the place. One of the fighters gets hit in the temple. The blood starts streaming. I think it was already a wound there. Got hit in that spot again. It's like this, just. I'm saying gushing because I'm probably over dramatizing it, but there was
Hmm.
a puddle of blood on the
Oh
floor
wow.
when they were done, and they kept going. Like I don't I don't know what it is. I think what we watch is we see someone they're putting their self, they're putting all their energy out, they're putting all themselves forward, and it's just you're watching these people go to higher levels, and you just
Hmm.
you get motivated, you get this adrenaline rush from it. It's the
Yeah.
same thing, of course, you get from the fast-paced polo, but it's just it's something about it. I don't know what it is. I don't
I
know
don't
why it
either.
is. It's probably is just human instinct. We're just so used to figuring out strategies to go and take out these other villagers so we can have their goal.
It's weird. It'll seriously make you like self reflect sometimes because I know for me, sometimes I would think back to like during slavery, some of these owners would have the slaves fighting each other, and it was like you better
Mm,
kill your opponent or we gonna kill you. You know what I mean? And so it's like nowadays watching this type of stuff, sometimes it's like, wait a minute, what is wrong with me? Um, I
you
don't
bring
know.
up a good point because I remember seeing that in movies, but I never went to go look it up and check it out. What was that? It was I know it happened in Django.
Mhm.
In Django Unchained, there was a scene where two slaves were fighting each other, and I think they
Yep.
were fighting to the death. I forgot what the winner was going to get or whatever, but
Mhm.
it was entertainment. It was entertainment, and it was this whole competition thing. And now, when you think about it, it's evolved to it's evolved to be, I guess, domesticated in a way where we don't
Mhm.
have to see as much blood, where we don't have to end people, where we can figure out how to market it and then get money from everybody for it. That's what we
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. Yeah. Figured out a way to make money off of it. Which I mean
But
they
we
did back then too, but it I don't know. It's weird
but
to think about.
is it wrong? Like is it wrong to enjoy this thing that we get aroused from this competition, this battle to the death without death? Is it wrong
I
for
don't
that?
really know. I don't really know. In the sense of boxing and like MMA, I don't know. Is it wrong? And if it is, how do we fix it? Because then there's something within yourself that you have to fix, you know? for you
And
to
then
be
if it is
enjoying
wrong,
that.
what do we do? What do we do after that? Because then I feel like it will kind of get boring. I mean, we like competitiveness. We like this. We enjoy it.
Yeah, but then you have the thing of, well, you have to find something else for your something
Say that
besides
again.
somebody. You have to find something else for your entertainment, like something besides somebody beating on somebody. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know if you could live without your sports. So
Yeah, I don't think I would make it without basketball and football. I don't know. I mean, I have other hobbies, but those are like my heart right now. So
you don't want to see Bob Ross outpaint having
no,
another.
yeah, like they have a painting race or something. I don't know.
It's
As
all
far as
quiet and chill. Look
yeah,
here,
like but
I
you have a
painted a happy
timer.
bush.
I don't know how that would work, but yeah.
It's interesting, man. I know I don't want that either. I mean, I love competition. Well, I say that because if any of my amigos would get on, they would say, "Nah, man, we know you don't play competitive games like that." However, I am getting this. I get the thrill of it. I'm understanding. Like I was telling you earlier. We were playing Apex,
Mm.
and just going in as a squad, and you guys either outsmarting another team to win and get to the win at the end. There's something about it that just it feels really good, and I don't know why, and I don't want to think it's wrong. I don't think there's nothing wrong with winning. There's nothing wrong with winning.
No, I think you if you're gonna do something, you kind of have to have that mentality of you want to be the best at it. You know what I'm saying? Like you want to be good at what you're doing. Otherwise, you
Yeah,
have a loser's mentality, and who wants that?
not a damn soul, not a damn soul.
So
Because
it's like,
when you think about it, it's survival. Yeah, in a way, it's kind of like an act of survival because in the old days, back when we were so easy, Geico could call us.
yeah.
Anyway, that was horrible. But in the old days, back when we were just trying to survive, we were doing this. We were competing with other tribes so we could survive.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just in our system. We want that feeling. So we've created other ways to go about getting that feeling. After we domesticated ourselves and we made life easier so we don't have to go out and hunt and gather, we created these things to still get that feeling. That's probably why the games with the Romans, what was that called? The Colosseum, yeah, that's probably why
Mm.
that was created, so we could get that rush, that feeling. You would get prisoners together, make them battle to the death, and you would get everyone to watch, and you would get that feeling from it. Then you could make money from it. It's capitalism.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. Like if there's a way to make money, somebody's gonna figure out how to do
I'm just hyped about it.
it.
It's interesting though. It really is. It really is interesting.
Yeah.
But don't go all quiet on me. This is still a podcast.
um. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It makes you. It really does make you think back, self-reflect. Like what is going on with me internally, to where I just want to see somebody beating on somebody for
Well,
money,
I know phrasing it that way is probably not the best way to, because it's
probably.
not necessarily beating. Because if you think about the fast-paced polo, and I'm not knocking basketball. Basketball is a really dope sport. I want to go ahead and say that now. Um,
Uh-huh.
but when you think about basketball, you're not beating on someone. You're you're using your
Well, back in
skills.
the day, they did a little bit cheap
Uh,
shots here and there, but I get what you're
oh, Street,
saying.
Street Volume 2. Street
Yeah,
Volume 2. Best basketball game ever. If you want to see me on the court, see me at Street Volume 2.
yeah,
but
I get what you're saying though.
but but yeah, it's that thrill, that competition, that back and forth. I wish I could remember the origin story of it because we had to do this in school. I took team
Hmm.
sports, and the way that class operated, you had days where you would sit down, learn about the sport you were about to do. You would go in, you'd find all of you get the origin, you get the definition, you would get all the rules for the referee, you would learn how to play the sport, you would read all that information, and then the next day following it, you would actually play the sport. And it was really cool. Really I don't know if they do that, but that still do that, but that's a really cool way to go about it. But when you think about it, it's just kind of like it's a fun it's a fun way to test your skills. It's a Yeah, it's kind of cool. I'm up here just having like a little epiphany on it. It's kind of fun. I think I have a love for sports that I didn't know about.
Just had to tap into it.
You know, I'm gonna do that. When COVID comes back up, I need to mark this down. I'm gonna find me a team to follow. I'm gonna follow the Red Wolves,
The Red Wolves.
and
Don't follow the Red Wolves. I wouldn't
no, I want to
recommend
give
it.
you someone to be opposed against, so that way
Uh,
we
and
can
you
duke
could
it out.
pick anybody else.
No,
Just
no.
okay. Well, I would rather you do them than Eagles. So okay,
Wait, who would you prefer me to do than the Red Wolves?
the team with no name right now. They're nameless. Um,
But I'm going to do that. I'm gonna actually sit down, follow some sports, and I want to have this conversation with you again after
mhm.
I didn't seen some sports. I wanna be in it. I wanna be versed. I wanna be able to tell you, yo, that was amazing. I understand why people get just so overwhelmed from throwing a basket
Well,
into.
you know what? An interesting team though that you might, find some excitement with this year would probably be the Patriots. And I say that because, Tom Brady is gone and Rob
Mm,
Gronkowski is gone. They both went to Tampa Bay. So it in New England, it's always been, well, as long as you got Bill Belichick, who's their coach, and Tom Brady, they're gonna win everything. So now it's like I feel like Tom feels like he has something to prove, which really to me he doesn't. Those two, him and his coach together, they just were that dynamic duo. It is what it is. So now you have Cam Newton, who's probably going to be the starting quarterback in New England. It's going to be
I
interesting to
forgot
see
about that.
what, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Bill Belichick can do with his play style. So that might be
So
somebody interesting you want to look at.
actually, those are two interesting stories. Like that's the other thing. When you're doing this, you get engrossed on this story that's being there because if you actually paying attention to the people there, you start learning these other things. You start learning not necessarily the characters, the players that make up these teams, the
Hmm.
the things they're going through that probably might show up in how they're playing. It's
Yep.
interesting. It is interesting.
Yep.
It's interesting.
So I think that might be a good start for you. I know
Patriots
that's
or Red
something.
Wolves?
That's gonna be something interesting to see though. I'm excited for Cam Newton. And I want him to bounce back in his career coming off that injury and everything.
Hmm.
So I think he has a fresh start in New England. I pretty much figured New England would pick him up anyway if there was going to be a team to get him. So yeah, him with Bill Belichick is going to be something interesting to see because Cam Newton is a more mobile quarterback. He can run, whereas Tom Brady is just going to sit there and throw the ball all day. So got some stuff
I
to
think
work with there.
I'm interested though, because I would like to see not only what a team would be like after COVID, how
Hmm.
teams are going to look after COVID, but then also just to see this, it's like a new story for them in a way. In a way, it's kind of like a new slate and a new place to start from. So
Hmm.
yeah, I'm kind of interested. I want to get in on this story. I want to expand my spectrum some more so I can understand sports a little bit more.
Yeah. The more you watch it, you'll pick up on stuff here and there, and then like me, you'll find yourself reading about it. after watching it for so long.
Well, Mia, I'm going ready to wrap it up. And before we head off, is there anything you would like to tell the wonderful three listeners?
Um, three listeners, don't do that to yourself.
No, I said I'd do that because I was watching some show and the guy would end his podcast. It was the Midnight Gospel. The guy would end his podcast like, "To my one viewer, this is out there for you."
um, One thing to say: wear your mask, people, and social distance, so we can get some sports back. Not just for
Mm,
that reason, but
no,
you
that's
get
your
what I'm
reason.
saying.
That's your
No,
reason.
no, that's not my only reason. I want everybody healthy. We need to get back to a normal society, not this new norm. It's not gonna work.
Well, all
Yeah.
right then. I'm going to turn off the bot and you stay on because I was going to talk to you for a quick second.
Okay.